Chapter 1: The Emergence of the System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Jinling City, in a typical classroom, Jiangli woke with a start. He shot up from his seat, exclaiming, "Wait, what am I doing? I was just at work. Where is this?" That he was completely disoriented. "Ha ha ha," that his classmates erupted in laughter at his bewildered state. All right. The teacher said, silencing the room. "Quiet down, everyone. Jiangli, sit. It's the first day, no sleeping. You don't want to miss out on getting your starter Pokémon, do you?" Jiangli, still stunned, touched his face, surprised by its youthful plumpness. Catching his reflection in the window, he saw his younger self staring back. It hit him. He traveled through time, back to high school. Overjoyed, he thought, God's given me a second chance. I'll make sure my family has a better life this time. I'll fix all my past mistakes, star. But as he sat down, ready to pay attention, the teacher started talking about Pokémon and Pokémon trainers. Suddenly, a flood of memories surged through his mind. He hadn't gone back in time, he was in a parallel world, but his family was the same. Here, creatures called elves existed, coexisting and merging with humans, and humans relied on elf technology. Long ago, elves had suddenly appeared. Initially, humans called them monsters and waged war against them, only to be repeatedly defeated. Alongside the elves, countless secret realms began to appear on the planet. These realms held rare elves, treasures, and more. Wars were fought over these realms. But over time, most of them merged with the world. The planet expanded, and its environment changed, becoming more elf-friendly than his old world, which was polluted. He was in a world with elves, absorbing all the memories. He fully accepted his new identity. He was Jiangli now, no time traveler needed, but, usually, this kind of situation came with a cheat, a golden ticket. Where's mine? He thought, calling out in his mind, "System. Golden finger. Show yourself." Every time traveler deserved a system. As if on cue, a voice echoed in his mind. Ding. Host detected. System loading. 1%. 10%. 50%. 80%. 100%. System loaded. "I'm your system elf, ready to serve," a cheerful female voice announced. "Ha! It's real," Jiangli was ecstatic. "System, what kind are you? What can you do?" he asked silently. "This system's purpose is to make you the ultimate elf leader. I'm here to help you gain strength and reach that goal," the system elf, Yu, explained. "What functions do you have right now?" "Most modules are locked. Currently, I can travel through dimensions. Dimensional travel lets elves explore different worlds, gaining abilities from those worlds and becoming stronger." He understood. The system's only current ability was to send elves to animated worlds, movies, and TV shows. They could learn abilities from those characters and grow powerful. Other functions were locked until the system upgraded. Ding! Unclaimed novice pack detected. Claim now, *, a novice pack. Nice touch, star. Do it. Claim it now. Ignoring the fact that he was in class, he shouted in his head to claim the gift. Ding! Novice pack claimed. Congratulations. You've received Charmander with championship level talent, *, whoa. A championship level Charmander, star. Jackpot, star. This is happening, star. Charmander was a classic starter Pokémon, rare and hard to get unless you were connected. He was thrilled. "Hey, system elf, where's my Charmander?" he asked. "You said it wasn't released yet. The championship level Charmander will be awarded with your starter Pokémon." "Ha! I'm getting my starter in a few minutes. I don't need you," he retorted. It was the first day of high school, and the league gave out starter Pokémon at this stage. The Pokémon were randomly distributed, ensuring a degree of fairness. "Wait a minute. Host, you think you're getting championship level Charmander from the league?" she replied sarcastically. Jiangli bristled. "What's that supposed to mean?" "I'm the host. Hee hee, The system elf continued to look down on him. Back in class, the teacher was wrapping up. Alright, students, now that the warnings are out of the way. Everyone, follow me to get your starter Pokémon. Chapter 2 Charmander with Championship Level Talent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The head teacher led the whole class to the playground, where they'd all get their starter Pokémon. The playground was packed. The entire grade had to come together to receive their first Pokémon, and everyone lined up. They stood in neat rows, filling the playground. A high platform stood in front, where all the school administrators Saturday. Jiangli figured the principal was about to give a speech. Jiangli's high school was Jinling University High School No. 1. Getting into this school meant you were one of the best students around. Plus, Jinling No. 1 had amazing resources, and their teachers were all trainers. Many of them were elite level, and some were even professional or gym leaders. In this world, a Pokémon strength is generally categorized into newborn, 1 to 9, novice, 11 to 20, average, 21 to 30, elite, 31 to 40, professional, 41 to 50, gym leader, 51 to 60, elite 4, 61 to 70, champion, 71 to 80, and master, 81 to 90. Since the newborn stage is right after a Pokémon hatches, it only takes a few days to reach the novice stage. The corresponding trainer levels, starting from novice, are novice, average, elite, professional, gym leader, elite 4, champion, and master. Beep beep, a car horn blared, and everyone looked up to see military vehicles arriving. Soon, armed troops emerged, carrying special, large containers. Their guns were just for show. The pouches bulging with Pokeballs, those held the military's combat Pokémon, their real deterrent. Jiangli guessed the containers held more Pokeballs. Ahem, the principal stepped up to the microphone on the podium. Students, I'll keep it brief. Let's get down to business. Everyone, line up by class and start receiving your starter Pokémon. Jiangli watched as the students ahead of him received theirs, one by one. Most of them got common Pokémon like Rattata, Oddish, and Pidgey. Jiangli, what Pokémon are you hoping for? The voice came from class 3 to the side. It was by Phosphorus, Jiangli's best friend from junior high. Even though they weren't in the same class anymore, they were still close. It's all luck, isn't it? Jiangli replied. Whoa! Jiangli heard the exclamation and turned to see what happened. A girl had just received a Squirtle. The students were incredibly envious. She'd gotten one of the most popular starters. That was like winning the lottery. The odds were incredibly slim. Soon, it was by Phosphorus's turn. He drew a Nidoran. That was a pretty rare Pokémon too. Its final evolved form, Nidoking, was a poison/ground type. Not bad at all. Seeing his friend come back, grinning, with Nidoran in his arms, Jiangli was happy for him. Looks like you found your first partner, by Phosphorus. Huh, you know it. In this world, trainers could form partnerships with Pokémon. It wasn't just about catching them with a Pokeball. Instead, you communicated with the Pokémon and formed a bond. If successful, a spiritual connection formed, and the trainer would receive feedback from the Pokémon. It also strengthened the trainer's body and helped them stay healthy. Pokémon who bonded with trainers also grew stronger faster, but there was a downside. If a partnered Pokémon died, the trainer would feel it. At the very least, it would cause mental damage. At worst, it could kill the trainer. That's why most ordinary people only partnered with the first Pokémon they received from the Alliance. It wasn't that they didn't want to partner with more Pokémon. After all, the more powerful your Pokémon, the stronger you became. But Pokémon were valuable in the Chinese Alliance. The stronger, rarer Pokémon were usually out of reach for ordinary people. You could go into the wild and try to catch and bond with Pokémon. But it was dangerous. Without enough strength, your first partner could die. And if your first partner died, it could mess you up for life. You might never become a trainer, or even become disabled. If you couldn't fight in the wild for resources, your starter Pokémon wouldn't get stronger. It was a vicious cycle. That's why most people only had one. After all, not everyone wanted to be a trainer. Partnering with a starter Pokémon from the Alliance and living a normal life, settling down, wasn't so bad, was it? Next, Jiangli. The head teacher called Jiangli's name. Jiangli stepped up and randomly grabbed a Pokeball from the box. He pressed the button, and a flash of white light erupted. A small, orange Charmander with a round head, stubby limbs, and a long tail with a burning flame appeared. It was just as he thought, a gift from the system, a Charmander with champion-level potential. Wow! It's a Charmander. He's so cool. First Squirtle, now Charmander. Seeing the classic fire-type starter, the students and even some teachers were impressed. Seeing the system hand him his first Pokémon, Jiangli couldn't help but pat Charmander's head. He squeezed his little paw. Hey there, Charmander. We're partners from now on. Charmander chirped happily. Just then, a deep voice cut through the excitement. Hey kid, how about we trade starters? Chapter 3 Forced by Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing someone actually wanted to trade Pokémon, Jiangli whipped around. The guy was a little chubby, with freckles dotting his face. Next to him stood a water-type Pokémon, or rather dim-witted-looking Psyduck. This Psyduck was supposed to be the starter Pokémon he would have gotten. Sure, Psyduck wasn't as cool as the Kanto starters, Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle, but it was still way more valuable than most run-of-the-mill Pokémon. Yet, this dude wasn't satisfied and wanted Jiangli's Charmander. I'm super attached to my Charmander. No way I'm trading him. Jiangli said flatly. Don't be so hasty. I'm Zhao Zijin. I think you've probably heard of me. Do you have any idea how many resources it takes to train a fire-type starter Pokémon? Look, even if you have a Charmander, you won't be able to afford to train it. So why hold him back? Why not give Charmander to me? In my hands, he'll become a powerhouse. And I'll even sweeten the deal. I'll throw in some cash and you can train that Psyduck. Maybe you can even get a second Pokémon contract. The chubby guy wouldn't let up, laying on the charm. Jiangli knew Zhao Zijin. He'd heard his dad was the deputy director of the education office at Jinling University's No. 1 middle school. He'd known about him since junior high. They weren't in the same class, but Zhao Zijin was still infamous around No. 1 middle school, and infamous was putting it mildly. He was known for running around with his crew, causing trouble, nothing too serious, but plenty of petty stuff. Bullying and throwing his weight around were everyday occurrences for him. Jiangli was about to fire back when a school administrator strolled up. Hey, I think you should consider the trade. Raising a Charmander takes serious commitment. If you don't have the resources, you'll just be holding him back. Handing Charmander over to him would be the best thing for the Pokémon. Tell you what, if you trade with him, I'll personally make sure you get extra resources this semester, on me. I'm a senior staff member here, and I'm just looking out for your best interests. Jiangli looked up. The administrator was on the heavier side and wore gold-rimmed glasses. He looked suspiciously like Zhao Zijin. Director Zhao, what are you doing? You know, you're Zhao Zijin's father, so saying stuff like that is inappropriate. Are you seriously trying to strong-arm him in public? Then a cutting voice cut through the air, making Director Zhao's forehead twitch. Before Phosphorus spoke, nobody had dared to say a word, even though Zhao Zijin and Director Zhao were pressuring Jiangli. After all, most people felt it wasn't their problem, and they were also jealous that Jiangli had landed a Charmander, one of the Kanto starters. That's when his best friend, Phosphorus, stepped in and called out Director Zhao's relationship to the bully. Hearing Phosphorus expose Director Zhao's identity, the students and the homeroom teacher exchanged knowing glances. So he's Zhao Zijin's dad. No wonder he's sticking up for him, shamelessly trying to trade resources for a Charmander. That was the general consensus. At that point, Jiangli's homeroom teacher jumped in to help. Director Zhao, he got the Charmander fair and square. You can't use coercion or manipulation. Oh, come on, Lu. I'm not forcing him. If Jiangli doesn't want to, there's nothing I can do. Director Zhao was as thick-skinned as they come. He was obviously trying to keep the pressure on Jiangli. Hearing that, Jiangli didn't hold back. Get lost. Looking at your face makes me want to puke. I don't know how you managed to grow such a shameless hide. Not even a Charizard's flames could singe it. If you want Charmander, you're not getting him. If you're so powerful and hold such a high position, why don't you just go to the Pokémon League and get a top-tier starter Pokémon? If you can't cut it, quit pushing me around. Just drop dead. Facing Director Zhao's bullying, Zhongli didn't mince words. Sure, Director Zhao had a lot of influence, but he wasn't afraid of him or his family. If Director Zhao was so great, why couldn't he get an elite starter Pokémon from the Pokémon League? The League's elite starter Pokémon were usually the Kanto starters, and sometimes even pseudo-legendary Pokémon. However, the requirements for receiving them were strict. You had to have made significant contributions to the League, or, if someone had made a great sacrifice for the League, their descendants could receive special consideration. Only then could you get those high-potential elite starter Pokémon. If Director Zhao sacrificed himself for the League, then Zhao Zijin would be able to get a Kanto starter from the League. That's why Director Zhao was trying to force Zhongli to trade on the spot with his son, Zhao Zijin. You, I'll F **** you up. Zhao Zijin couldn't help but curse when he heard Zhongli insult his father. Zijin, but Director Zhao stopped him, plastering on a fake smile. Since Zhongli doesn't want to trade, then forget it. With that, Director Zhao turned and left, heading off to maintain order elsewhere. Like they say, a dog that bites doesn't bark. Having pissed off Director Zhao, Zhongli didn't want a venomous snake lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. He had to find a way to resolve this, Zhongli thought to himself. Hey, you want to have a Pokémon battle? That even after Director Zhao left, Zhao Zijin wasn't ready to back down. Zhongli, don't do it. Your Charmander is a Kanto starter and has better potential than Psyduck. But he hasn't had any training yet. And Psyduck is a water type, so he's got the type advantage. Little Jia-san, no way, no way. Are you chicken? Chapter 4 Contract Elf. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing Phosphorus try to stop Zhongli from accepting Zhao Zijin's challenge, Zhao Zijin just stirred the pot even more. Zhongli glanced at Zhao Zijin, thinking the aggressive idiot was easy to read. With his system, there was no way he could lose to some punk like Zhao Zijin, so what if his Psyduck had a type advantage against Charmander right now? Once he figured out the system's time travel function, he could send Charmander to other worlds to train and level up. Then, wouldn't he crush Psyduck when he got back? With that thought, Zhongli signaled to Phosphorus that he had everything under control. Then, he confidently accepted Zhao Zijin's challenge. I accept. School arena, tomorrow. Alright, see you then. Zhao Zijin's face twisted into a dark grin, and he turned and marched back to his group, acting like he didn't know anyone. With that mess dealt with, Zhongli decided it was time to bond with Charmander. He reached out and gently touched the little fire dragon's head. He crouched down and spoke softly. Charmander, will you be my partner, my lifelong companion? Hearing his heartfelt words, Charmander looked up into Zhongli's eyes. Seeing the sincerity there, Charmander eagerly agreed. With both sides willing, the contract was sealed. The instant Charmander agreed, a golden seal appeared in Zhongli's mind, proof of their bond. This golden contract was formed by the unique rules of this world. When an elf voluntarily enters into a contract with a trainer, a rule contract formed by the worlds will appear in the minds of both. The trainer and the elf gain a spiritual connection, while not as direct as telepathy. Trainers can use this bond to feel the elf's emotions, sharing their joys and sorrows, fostering their growth together. The moment the contract took effect, Zhongli felt a surge of energy coursing through him. This energy rapidly transformed his body, significantly improving his physical condition. His unhealthy body instantly became fit. Thanks to this power, he might be immune to illness and injury for the rest of his life. That was the power of an elf-trainer contract. No wonder so many trainers wanted to bond with elves. With such obvious benefits, who wouldn't? Zhongli could now feel the strength coursing through him, like he could punch through a brick wall. However, it was mainly the illusion of increased strength, and the more the contracted elves get stronger, the stronger the power fed back to the trainer will be. This is the reason why so many people pursue powerful elves to make contracts, and now that he had a contract with Charmander, it ended the interest of anyone else who had eyes on the little guy. After all, once an elf bonds with a Trainer, others can't claim them. Even if the trainer dies, the elf can only be subdued, not contracted. That dramatically lowers the elf's value. Of course, the trainer can break the contract themselves, but that would cause major damage to the trainer, and would also have to be combined with precious genius treasures. It wouldn't be worth it just for Charmander. Those treasures are worth way more than just one Charmander. Ding! First elf contract detected. System functions unlocked. Detection eye function unlocked. This can be used to see an elf's stats, talents, etc. He hadn't expected the system to unlock more functions after his first contract. Now he could analyze other elves, which made Zhongli's day. With this function, he could find even more talented elves, plus, he could see the stats of other elves during battle. The detection eye was a versatile ability that could be used in any situation. Use detection eye on Charmander. Ding! Detection eye activated. Species, Charmander. Gender, male. Strength, level 11, novice. Type, fire. Ability, solar power, hidden. Potential, champion. Moves, scratch, growl, dragon tail, dragon rush. Charmander was currently at level 11, barely out of the beginner stage. That was probably because he was just born. After all, when an elf hatches, they quickly reach the novice level, but progress slows down from there, requiring a trainer's help. This Charmander had champion-level potential, so there would be no roadblocks in training him to become a champion. An elf's talent is limited by its growth. If an elf's talent can only reach the professional level, then the max is basically professional level, unless they get their hands on something rare to boost their talent, or maybe this elf has an unusual amount of willpower, enough to break through its limits. Without the championship-level Charmander, his upper limit would be higher than that of most elves. Moreover, Zhongli could tell that this little fire dragon had inherited moves, possessing the genetic moves of Dragon Rush and Dragon Tail means that one of his parents must have been a dragon-type elf. Charmander's ability was the hidden ability, solar power. In sunny weather, Charmander would become even stronger and could absorb the sun's energy to increase its attack power. While Zhao Zijin was still within view, Zhongli quickly had you use the detection eye on his Psyduck. To win, you have to know your enemy as well as yourself. Species, Psyduck. Gender, male. Strength, level 12, novice. Type, water. Ability, damp. Potential, professional. Moves, scratch, tail whip. Zhao Zijin's Psyduck was also a novice. His ability was damp, meaning he couldn't be affected by the weather. The potential was professional level, which was decent. A lot of students got starter elves, and their talents weren't as good as this Psyduck. It looked like Zhao Zijin had been training it well. After breaking through and getting stronger, he could have followed in his father's footsteps, but instead, he had to go and pick a fight with Zhongli. Chapter 5: The First Time Traveling Through a Different World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When I got home from school, the delicious smell hit me as soon as I walked in. It was Mom's braised pork, his absolute favorite. Zhongli couldn't wait, grabbing a piece to eat. That familiar taste, he'd missed it so much. Wash your hands before you dig in. Mom playfully swatted his forehead, a mock scolding. Mom, it's so good, I couldn't resist. He grinned, turning to his partner. Right, Lucky? Lucky. Geely Egg, clutching its energy cube, chirped in agreement. After all, Mom made those cubes too. Geely Egg was Mom's first partner Pokémon, a real rarity. These Pokémon are harder to find than the usual starter Pokémon, almost as rare as some pseudo-legendaries. Thanks to Geely Egg's healing powers, Mom worked as a doctor at the provincial hospital after graduating from medical school. She was now the head of the Pokémon department and had saved tons of Pokémon. Geely Egg had been a huge help. Hey, shouldn't we wait for your dad? He's got stuff going on at the station tonight. Probably won't be back till tomorrow. Okay. Dad was the chief of a local police station, so he was always working late dealing with whatever went down in his area. Even though he was just a small-town chief, he was a pretty strong trainer, about level 41-50. His main partner was a Houndoom, a dark and fire-type Pokémon. Being in law enforcement, Dad also had an Arcanine, his third Pokémon, which he got after joining the police academy. Ever since Zhongli was little, he would snuggle up with that Arcanine, so they were super close. Arcanine was working late at the station with Dad tonight. "Oh yeah, Zhongli, today was when you got your starter Pokémon, right? What did you get?" Mom asked. "You won't believe it," Zhongli grinned, releasing Charmander from its Pokeball. The little Charmander popped out, looking around like, "Took you long enough." Charmander. "It's a Charmander," Mom squealed, picking up the little fire type and cuddling it. "See, Mom. My starter is Charmander." "Show off," Mom said, rolling her eyes playfully. "Looks like you used up all your good luck." "Hey," the joking around ended there, and Mom turned serious. "Since you got a Charmander, you need to figure out how to train it. This Pokémon has so much potential, you can't let it go to waste." "I know, Mom." After dinner, Zhongli raced to his room, eager to try out the system's dimension-hopping function. "Yuyo, I want to travel through dimensions." Ding! Request confirmed. Initiating world search. Available world, Naruto. Traveling object, Charmander. Note 1, time in the target world does not correspond to the main world. Time flows much faster in the other world. Note 2, if the traveling object faces a fatal threat, the system will initiate an immediate return. Note 3, the traveling object can bring back items from the other dimension but cannot bring back living organisms. Note 4, a Pokémon can only travel to the same world once a week. Host, please confirm, proceed with time travel. Once the function was activated, the system assistant, Yuyo, explained the rules. Yuyo, I confirm. Ding! Initiating travel now. As soon as Yuyo finished speaking, a golden flash appeared next to Charmander. The flash formed a portal in front of Charmander, and with Zhongli's encouragement, it stepped through. Charmander successfully teleported and has entered the world of Naruto. Charmander has appeared near the Uchiha compound in Konoha. Charmander is observing Sasuke Uchiha perform fire release, Fireball Jutsu. Charmander is observing Itachi Uchiha teaching Sasuke Uchiha fire release. Congratulations! Charmander has learned fire release, Fireball Jutsu. Congratulations! Charmander has gained 300 experience points. Leveled up to level 15. Charmander has detected Itachi Uchiha appearing behind it, utilizing taijutsu. Ding! Life-threatening danger detected. Initiating teleportation, the portal reappeared, and Charmander was back in Zhongli's room. Back in the room, Charmander ran over and latched onto Zhongli's leg. It chattered excitedly about traveling to another world and using its fire energy to copy a fire technique. Yuyo, use scan on Charmander. Scanning. Scan complete. Species, Charmander. Gender, male. Strength, level 15, novice, intermediate. Attribute, fire. Characteristic, solar power, hidden. Potential, champion level. Moves, scratch, growl, fire release, fireball jutsu, dragon rage, egg move, dragon rush. Seeing that Charmander had leveled up 4 times just from that trip, Zhongli was ecstatic. It really boosted its strength. As a result, Zhongli's own physical condition had also improved quite a bit. Since Charmander was a fire type, Zhongli now felt a lot more resistant to flames. If Charmander leveled up again and evolved into a Charmeleon, the feedback to Zhongli would be even stronger. He might become completely fireproof. Thinking about it, Zhongli was thrilled. With the system, he could constantly boost Charmander's strength. Could he contract another Pokémon soon? Contracts weren't given out casually. The Trainers Guild usually made recommendations. Only after your first starter Pokémon reached the normal tier, levels 21 to 30, could you contract another one. Contracting Pokémon came with risks. If your body couldn't handle it, the contract could backfire, causing permanent damage to your mind. Only when your starter Pokémon reached the normal tier, levels 21 to 30, and its strength boosted yours could you safely contract another. Chapter 6 Characteristic Transformation Fruit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Every year, I overestimate myself and don't really consider if my skills are up to par. This leads to a lot of people rushing into elf contracts without thinking, then suffering mental breakdowns when they fail, which ends their trainer dreams. Of course, that doesn't apply to people with special talents or deep pockets. Ding dong. Charmander's first dimension hop is complete. System task module unlocked. A mission already? Zhongli wondered. So the system has a mission function now? System task function unlocked. Initiating task. System mission, Charmander's debut, defeat Zhao Zijin's Golduck in the arena. Task reward, ability change fruit x2. Seeing that the system was already giving him tasks, he asked the system elf for more info. Turns out, the system will drop tasks from time to time, and completing them gets you rewards. Failing? No penalty. When Zhongli saw the task, he thought the system was pretty cool. He had to beat Zhao Zijin's Golduck tomorrow anyway, and now he gets a reward for it. Score. Yuyo, what's this ability change fruit do? Ding dong. Ability change fruit, exactly what it sounds like, lets an elf change its ability. This thing is seriously OP. If he gave it to Charmander, could it change its ability to water absorb? That would completely negate its weakness to water-type Pokémon. Or, if he gave it to Slaking, could it change its ability from Truant to something useful? Suddenly, Slaking would be unstoppable. Its base stats are already God tier. But because of Truant, Slaking can barely make a move in battle and mostly just tanks hits. Even then, with rest, Slaking is still a pain to deal with because it's just so tough, but if Slaking's ability became huge power, the boost would be insane, and it would basically be invincible against other Pokémon of the same level. This just gave him another reason to crush Zhao Zijin tomorrow. Charmander, let's go, let's go. I bought some training materials online. Come learn some new tricks. Zhongli grabbed his tablet and handed it to Charmander. Then he took him to the training area in the backyard of his villa. Zhongli lived in a huge villa in the city. His dad was a top-tier professional trainer, so they could afford it. You can't have large Pokémon stretching out in an apartment building. The training materials Charmander was watching were actually videos of Pokémon learning skills and moves. You can buy these videos on the official league website, so trainers can teach their Pokémon. They were just basic skills, though. The really powerful stuff required personal coaching. Meanwhile, across town, Zhao Zijin was hard at work training his Golduck. He'd just finished contracting with it and was eager to teach it some water-type moves. He had a match tomorrow, after all. Even though Golduck had a type advantage over Charmander, Zhao Zijin wasn't taking anything for granted. Zijin, bring the water stone with you. Seeing how serious Zhao Zijin was, Director Zhao smiled, ditching his usual lazy attitude. He pulled a water stone out of his pocket and told Golduck to hold on to it. Water stones help novice water-type Pokémon learn skills faster and grow stronger, but Director Zhao's main reason for giving it to Golduck was tomorrow's match. Golduck could use the water stone as an energy source, giving it the stamina to spam water-type moves. Basically, a Golduck holding this item would be almost unbeatable in tomorrow's game. Trainers are allowed to equip Pokémon with items for these kinds of challenges, and nobody checks what they have. Zijin, I'm calling all the teachers for a meeting tomorrow. You know what to do, right? Zhao Zijin understood perfectly when he saw Director Zhao's cold expression. Don't worry, Dad. I got this. I'll teach him a lesson. Zhao Zijin said with a twisted smile. Good. Director Zhao chuckled, remembering how Zhongli had humiliated him earlier that day. He'd been so angry, he'd wanted to kill Zhongli on the spot, but he couldn't. He had to keep up appearances in front of everyone. Instead, he was signaling Zhao Zijin to teach Zhongli a lesson the honest way in the arena. There was no way a Golduck with a water stone, plus the type advantage, could lose to a Charmander. He was calling the teachers to a meeting to keep them busy. That way, there wouldn't be a referee at the game, and Zhao Zijin could do whatever he wanted to Jiangli. He was sure Jiangli came from a regular family and had no chance of a comeback. Nobody had called him yet. If he had connections or powerful friends, they would have called by now, and he didn't just want Zhao Zijin to beat Charmander, he wanted him to seriously injure it. He wanted Jiangli, the trainer, to suffer permanent mental trauma and lose his trainer license. That was the result Zhao Qianga wanted. Nobody messes with him, Zhao Qianga, and gets away with it. Zhao Qianga grinned, picturing it all. The next morning, Jiangli woke up early, had a good breakfast, and went to school. Morning, Jiangli, that he met White Phosphorus at the school gate, followed by her newly contracted Nidoran. Chapter 7 Disclaimer Agreement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiangli. That's Jiangli, Bai Lu's shout echoed across the campus, drawing amused stares from other students. Did you hear? He's fighting Zhao Zijin from Class 5. Zhao Zijin? The Demon King of No. 1 Middle School. Seriously? Poor guy. Getting on Zhao Zijin's bad side is the worst luck. You got that right. I heard Zhao Zijin used to. Several classmates shot him pitiful looks and started whispering. Wow, Jiangli, you're famous. The whole school knows you're the man of the hour. Bai Phosphorus clapped him on the shoulder, grinning. Yeah, not exactly the kind of fame I was hoping for. Jiangli felt awkward under the excited gazes of so many classmates. The entire school knew about his duel today. Zhao Zijin probably had his cronies spread the word, afraid Jiangli might back out. That way, he'd be forced to fight. All the better for Jiangli, who already planned on teaching Zhao Zijin a lesson. Little did Zhao Zijin know he was the one being hunted. After all, beating him meant grabbing that characteristic conversion fruit, letting his Charmander evolve and level up big time. Plus, Jiangli's Charmander was already at level 15, practically ready to evolve from a novice level. Zhao Zijin's Ducklet, on the other hand, was still just a novice beginner. With that level of power, there was no way Jiangli was losing. And, thanks to yesterday's training, Charmander had mastered Smoke Screen, Sparks, and Dragon Breath. Jiangli even had a hunch about Zhao Zijin's dirty tricks. So, he made sure Charmander learned a specific skill in advance. Whatever Zhao Zijin had planned, it was already useless. Instead of heading to class, Jiangli went straight to the Jinda High School affiliated arena. The arena was located in the gym next to the playground in the center of the campus. Even though this was just a high school, the stadium was huge, designed to host gym-level competitions. But Jiangli and Zhao Zijin were just going to duke it out in a normal arena. Well. Thought you wouldn't show. Zhao Zijin's taunt reached Jiangli before he even entered. Ha! Spare me the trash talk. See you in there. Jiangli snapped back. Humph! Zhao Zijin and his posse swaggered up to Jiangli. Sign this before we throw down. Zhao Zijin tossed a waiver at Jiangli. This liability waiver says I'm participating in this duel voluntarily. During the duel, the game won't stop unless one side clearly admits defeat. If either party suffers injuries or losses, they're responsible for the consequences. Sounds like a fight to the death. Old school style, but this suited Jiangli perfectly. Zhao Zijin was signing it too. With this signed, whatever happened to Zhao Zijin during the duel was fair game. Principal Zhao couldn't do a thing. The school encouraged regular elf battles, so the arenas were always open. Usually, there were referee teachers, but Principal Zhao had called them all to a meeting. They probably hadn't expected this. In a normal duel, seriously injuring your opponent meant facing serious consequences and losing your trainer qualifications, but with this agreement, there were no holds barred in the elf battle. The league didn't exactly endorse this, but they didn't say much. This entire society revolved around trainers. Everyone in the Blue Star China Alliance. The moment you entered high school, you got your first Pokémon and became a trainer, but your future progress was on you. Without sufficient strength, you couldn't hold any important positions. For example, you needed gym-level strength just to govern. Those in power had to be able to quell local elf uprisings. Wild elves were dangerous. Unlike Ash in the anime, every year, elves went on rampages. besieging cities, soldiers and police die because of these events, and every year, people went missing venturing into the wild. Jiangli, watch out for a setup, Bai Lu said, worried as Jiangli picked up the agreement. Don't worry, I got this, Jiangli scribbled his signature and tossed the agreement at Zhao Zijin's feet. Heh. I'll be waiting, Zhao Zijin grinned, grabbed the agreement, and strode arrogantly toward the arena. Inside the Jinda High School arena, Zhao Zijin and Jiangli stood on opposite sides of the stage. The area around the arena was packed with spectators, even the girl who got Squirtle as her starter was there. Jiangli, he. Your Charmander should have been mine, but you brought this on yourself. I'm gonna show you what real pain is, Zhao Zijin taunted Jiangli from across the stage, trying to get under his skin. Alright. I'll let my fists do the talking. You're going out on a stretcher today, Jiangli snapped back, returning the harsh words. Chapter 8 The First Battle of Charmander. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiangli didn't respond, just grabbed a Pokeball and released his Pokémon. Charmander, let's go, across from him, Zhao Zijin tossed out his own Pokeball. Alright, Psyduck, you're up, Jiangli used his system scan ability to check them out, species, Charmander, gender, male, level, 15, mid-novice, type, fire, ability, solar power, hidden, potential, champion, moves, scratch, growl, fire spin, ember, dragon breath, smokescreen, thief, scale shot, dragon ascent, species, Psyduck, gender, male, type, water, ability, cloud 9, item, water stone, potential, professional, moves, scratch, tail whip, water gun, confusion, water. Pulse, just as Jiangli suspected, Zhao Zijin was playing dirty, he'd given his Pokémon an item to use in battle. Sure, items were allowed in official tournaments, but there was an unspoken rule against using them in casual duels. Of course, it was fine if you could get away with it, but getting caught using an item would definitely earn you some serious side-eye. Psyduck, water gun, before Jiangli could even react, Zhao Zijin barked out his command. Psyduck gathered water energy, forming a concentrated stream that shot toward Charmander. Charmander, use Ember. Jiangli countered immediately. Ha! Idiot! Zhao Zijin sneered, watching Charmander charge up his attack. Charmander spat a volley of golden-red sparks at the incoming water gun. The sparks actually pushed back against the water jet, and the two attacks fizzled out in a draw. Zhao Zijin's smug grin vanished. He'd been so sure that his water-type move would crush Charmander's fire-type attack, playing into the type advantage. He'd practically called Jiangli stupid for even trying, but Charmander's Ember had completely negated Psyduck's water gun. Zhao Zijin was suddenly looking pretty foolish. After all, he'd just called Jiangli an idiot and then immediately eaten his words. Jiangli wasn't surprised. His Charmander was a mid-novice level, which gave him a clear advantage over Psyduck. Charmander, Dragon Breath. Jiangli pressed his advantage while Zhao Zijin was still reeling. Psyduck, dodge it, snapping back to reality, Zhao Zijin realized Jiangli was capitalizing on his momentary shock. He frantically yelled at Psyduck to evade the incoming attack. Charmander channeled dragon energy and unleashed a blast of dragon breath. Psyduck, although quick to react, couldn't completely dodge the attack. The edge of the dragon breath grazed his back. Psyduck cried out in pain. Psyduck! You okay? Zhao Zijin shouted, concerned. Psyduck responded and immediately began absorbing energy from the water stone. His injuries seemed to heal instantly, and his strength surged. Using the water stone as a quick energy boost could rapidly heal Psyduck, but it also meant sacrificing the stone, turning it into a one-time use item and diminishing its value. It was a trick for those with deep pockets, something average folks couldn't afford. Director Zhao was throwing money at the problem, determined to ensure Zhao Zijin's victory. Psyduck, use Water Pulse. Zhao Zijin commanded, seeing Psyduck fully energized. Charmander, keep using Dragon Breath. Jiangli countered. Psyduck summoned all his water energy, creating a massive water sphere in his mouth. The water pulse hurtled toward Charmander, exploding just before impact. The force of the blast sent Charmander flying, and the water elemental energy sapped his strength. At the same moment, Charmander's dragon breath struck Psyduck head-on. The dragon-type energy tore through Psyduck, causing significant damage. Psyduck, despite stumbling, quickly righted himself. The water stone had clearly given him a boost. Something's off with that Psyduck. A novice-level Psyduck shouldn't be able to use so many moves with that much stamina. Yeah, and did you see? It shrugged off those dragon breaths like they were nothing. Some of the seasoned veterans watching the duel were starting to notice something fishy. Ha ha ha. It's no use. Nothing you do will work. My Psyduck can take anything you throw at him. See? This is the difference. Charmander's a joke in your hands. He's nothing compared to my Psyduck. This is what you get for defying me. I'm going to crush you and make sure you never become a trainer. Psyduck, finish off that Charmander. Use water pulse again. Zhao Zijin dropped the facade, revealing his true, unhinged self. He urged Psyduck to use water pulse, hoping to knock out Charmander and force Jiangli to forfeit his dream of becoming a trainer. Faced with Zhao Zijin's blatant cheating, Jiangli had a plan. Charmander, smokescreen. On cue, a thick cloud of black smoke erupted from Charmander's mouth. Chapter 9 Defeating the Duck. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The black smoke billowed, quickly spreading across the arena. Charmander vanished into the darkness. Coda, get out of the smoke, quick. Seeing Charmander use the smoke as cover, Zhao Zijing yelled for Coda to retreat. He wanted to avoid an attack. Worthless. Don't you get it? Hiding in the smoke won't save you. Coda, water gun, now. Zhao Zijin commanded Jiangli mockingly. Coda focused its water energy in its mouth and began spraying the black smoke. Since Coda had a water stone to replenish its energy, it could keep firing until the smoke cleared. Charmander, now's your chance. Thief! Jiangli shouted, taking advantage of Coda's constant water gun attack. Charmander burst from the smoke, right next to Coda. In a flash, it smacked Coda on the forehead with a claw and used Thief, landing a critical hit. Coda went flying, and a shimmering blue stone popped out. It was the water stone. Charmander's sneak attack had dislodged it. The audience erupted the moment the water stone fell. Everyone glared at Zhao Zijin in disgust. Called it. I knew something was up. He was using a prop. Can you believe Zhao Zijin, who's loaded, using a water stone like that? A senior in the audience remarked. Zhao Zijin's face flushed. He was used to being arrogant, but facing the crowd's scorn, he felt overwhelmed and flew into a rage. Coda, come on. Destroy Charmander. Wipe him out. Zhao Zijin, trying to deflect the blame, focused his anger on Jiangli. His only thought now was to crush Charmander and cripple Jiangli. Charmander, go for it. Use Scratch. Seeing Zhao Zijin's desperate command, Jiangli calmly ordered Charmander to press its advantage. Coda, barely back on its feet, had just been blasted by the beginner level, now intermediate level Charmander, already hurt and now without its water stone. Coda was much weaker. Its trainer's frantic commands only confused the poor Pokémon even more. The Charmander lunged, its claws slashing and knocking Coda to the ground. Ha! Zhao Zijin, I'd advise you to throw in the towel. Think you still have a chance? Jiangli taunted, pretending to offer a way out, but Jiangli knew Zhao Zijin wouldn't give up so easily. Never. No way. I'd rather die than quit. Jiangli, don't get cocky. My Pokémon won't go down without a fight. Zhao Zijin stubbornly refused to surrender. Then it's on you. Charmander, Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu. Fireball Jutsu? What's that? I watch tons of matches online, but I've never heard of it. No clue. Maybe it's a custom move. Amazing. Inventing your own moves at that level. The senior said, impressed. Following Jiang Li's instruction, Charmander gathered all its fire energy. The energy surged from every part of its body, converging at its mouth. A massive fireball formed in front of it, growing larger as the fire energy intensified. Charmander launched the fireball at Koda, still lying on the ground and refusing to give up. The air crackled as the fire release technique's fireball engulfed Koda. It exploded on Koda, the shockwave sending it flying. It crashed hard against the edge of the arena. The powerful fireball instantly knocked Koda unconscious. Aya! As Koda collapsed, Zhao Zijin screamed and clutched his head. He was in agony. The mental link caused Zhao Zijin to fall to the ground, writhing. The elf's injury was reflected on his trainer. The first contracted elf is the one that affects the trainer the most when it's damaged. After all, the first contract is the only one. This situation will only get better after contracting the second elf, and Koda would probably be permanently affected. Even if Zhao Zijin's parents spent a fortune to heal him, Koda would be useless. His chances of becoming a trainer were slim. The students pretended not to notice Zhao Zijin's misery. They knew how arrogant he had been. If Zhao Zijin had been bullying them, who would they have complained to? So, they ignored him and left. Eventually, a school janitor took Zhao Zijin to the infirmary. Zhongli, you rock. I've hated that kid forever. You finally gave him what he deserved. But watch out for Zhao Zijin's dad, Director Zhao. He's trouble. By Phosphorus warned Zhongli on the way back to class. Chapter 10 Trouble is Coming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Don't sweat it. I beat him fair and square in front of everyone. They all saw it. What's he gonna do? Zhongli said to By Phosphorus. Meanwhile, back with Director Zhao Tiange, he was leading a fake meeting with the teachers to stall for time. Suddenly, a member of the school team rushed in and whispered something in his ear. Alright, meeting adjourned. Director Zhao immediately stopped the meeting after hearing the news, threw open the door, and hurried off. Man, Zhao Laohu was yapping away and then bolts out like that. Thought he'd talk all day. One teacher, clueless, remarked. Hey! You don't know what's up. His kid got into a fight and dragged our son into it. He's rushing back. Hope he didn't lose. A more savvy teacher said gleefully. Zhao Tiange arrived at the infirmary to find his son Zhao Zijin unconscious on the bed. Even out cold, his brow was still furrowed. He was clearly still in pain. Zhao Tiange clenched his fist. Director Zhao, I can't do much for Zhao Zijin's injuries here. I suggest you get him to the city hospital, pronto. The nurse said. Seeing the situation, Zhao Tiange quickly called 911 and had his son rushed to the hospital. Later, sitting in the doctor's office, Zhao Tiange learned that his son had suffered mental damage because his contracted elf was seriously injured. Thankfully, they got him to the hospital in time, so Zhao Zijin wouldn't suffer permanent mental damage. However, the contract with his Kodak duck was terminated, and Kodak duck could no longer fight. Basically, even if Zhao Zijin fully recovered, his first contract was gone, because in this world, you can only contract 6 elves at a time in your whole life. If all 6 slots are filled, you have to terminate a contract before you can contract a new elf, and breaking a contract comes at a price. Nobody does it unless they absolutely have to. That's why trainers are so careful choosing their contract elves. People from big families or high-ranking positions won't even consider elves with mediocre potential. Truly top-tier elves, like the starter Pokémon and pseudo-legendaries, are practically impossible to find, no matter how much money you have. They're kept within the families, of course. That only applies to contract elves, since there's a limit of 6, but if you're strong enough, you can catch as many wild elves with Pokeballs as you want. But if you catch them and don't treat them right, they might be obedient, but they won't have the same bond as a contracted elf. But Zhao Zijin's situation is different. His first contract is gone. Even if he spends a ton of money to get another elf, it'll only count as a second contract, meaning, when he becomes a trainer, even if he fills all his slots, he can only contract 5 elves, and the further he goes, the harder it will be to contract an elf. Zhao Zijin doesn't even know if he'll be able to contract a second one, so, Jian Li's attack basically ruined half of Zhao Zijin. Zhao Tiange, look at how badly hurt your son is. How can you just sit there? Are you even human? If you won't avenge my son, at least get the guy who did this arrested. Seeing her son suffering, Zhao Zijuan's mother demanded hysterically. Director Zhao frowned. It wasn't that he didn't want to get revenge for his son, but he had already planned to set Jiangli up. After all, even if Jiangli had been injured like Zhao Zijin, there wouldn't have been anything he could do through official channels. He miscalculated this time, not expecting his son to be so badly hurt, but because of his scheming. Even if Xiao Qinga called the cops now, it wouldn't do any good. Which put Director Zhao in a tight spot, but he could still try something. He picked up the phone and made a call. Meanwhile, back with Jiangli, he got back to class to find that the study hall was over, and the teachers were back in charge. He only had time during lunch to collect his system rewards. Yuyo, time to get my mission reward. Request received, initiating query. System mission, Charmander's debut, defeat Zhao Zijin's reachable duck in the arena, completed, task reward, characteristic conversion fruit. Distributing rewards now. Point 2 apple-like fruits, green and red, appeared in Jiang Li's hand. This was the characteristic conversion fruit. Yuyo, after the elves eat this fruit, can they choose which characteristic to change to? Jiang Li asked. After changing, the elves can choose to keep their original characteristic or give it up. The system elf replied. What? It can keep the original characteristic. That if he could keep the original characteristic, then his Charmander could switch to water absorb and keep blaze. He'd be practically invincible with dual characteristics. Thinking this, Jiangli quickly gave the characteristic conversion fruit to Charmander. Charmander grabbed the fruit and immediately ate it. Jiangli quickly instructed Charmander to switch to water absorb and keep blaze. After that, Jiangli used probing eye on Charmander. Species, Charmander. Gender, male. Strength, level 15, novice intermediate. Type, fire. Characteristics, water absorb / blaze. Talent, champion level. Skills, scratch, growl, fire spin, ember, dragon breath, smokescreen, thief, reverse scale, dragon god dive. Charmander really had 2 characteristics. If he trained Charmander quickly. With water absorb, he would be a total nightmare for water elves. Thinking this, Jiangli was very happy. Jiangli was sitting in class that afternoon when several police officers burst into the room. Director Zhao Qinga, was with them. Jiangli, we need to talk.